Good evening. Good evening.
See you, Kimberly. Welcome, welcome. As you're tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. Where in the state, the world, where are you from in the chat box? Let us know below as we're getting prepped and ready. Let people in here as they're coming in.
And do yourselves a favor, grab a notebook and pen. You are going to need it. We are going to give you a lot of information, a lot of value today. So get ready, get yourself set up, get your space set, and we're going to get grooving. So grab that chat box, open it up for us, and tell us where you are in the world. Excellent. We've already got
Columbus, Florida.
Five states already.
Fort Worth. Fantastic. We're going to be in Dallas in a couple weeks here. So right across the way. New York. Okay.
I was like,
Florida in my car. I love it.
Excellent.
Glad you're here.
All right. Now, what we want to ask you to begin here, because we are going to get started right on time for you, and be mindful. Why are you here? What brings you? What brings you? What are you hoping to gain? What are you hoping to learn? What sparked the inspiration to be with us today? Put it in the chat box so that we can make sure that we understand where you're coming from, what you need, and we can ideally over deliver for you.
Yeah. What brought you here? Why is it important you're here on this call? What does summer ready look like? Right. Let's have that conversation as we're getting prepped. What brought you here?
Yes, we have much to cover. Let's go. Nail down that consistency. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm glad, Sharon. You're always a student. Yes, tell us why you're here. What brings you in? What are you hoping to learn? What are you hoping to gain? And when you have a moment or you're able to turn yourself on camera, please do so. We love to see faces. We do not host passive master classes. We host very engaging classes.
Never fun.
If you've not been to one, welcome. We play full out here at the Fitness Project. That said, keep them coming. Tell us what brings you in, what you're hoping to learn, what you're hoping to gain, and then we'll get grooving.
Yeah. Why are you here? What made you want to come?
And if you're driving,
maybe you don't know, and now you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have come.
Learn how to get fit and be consistent.
Oh, it's
beautiful.
Fantastic. It's beautiful.
In the right spot. Keep that coming in. Kim, Francina, Karen, love to see what you guys hope to get out of this as well.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot to cover. So the more aware you are of what you need, the more likely you are to get it.
Fitness has become a big part of my life, so I want to learn as much as I can. Oh, it's beautiful. I love that.
Congratulations.
I always get so inspired. Oh, that's fantastic.
Awesome. All righty, cool.
Well, as we start, we want to create a little bit of context as to where you might be, right? And so we have a quick little question for you. And so the first question is, who's feeling the itch, right? That pre-summer itch of like, it's starting to get warmer, it's starting to get nice outside. Yes. Maybe you're thinking, okay, I want to get ready for the summer, but you're not really sure where to begin, right? Where do you really need to start as you're in that season, right? And maybe that's kind of where you're at, right? Are we recording, by the way?
Yes, we are. Yeah. And second, I would love to hear just hands, right? Just raise hands. Who really wants to make sure that they're actually fully enjoying their summer? Like part of your vision or part of your goal is to be active, to be hiking, to be energized, to not feel like you're kind of sitting on the sidelines of those activities. Yeah, good. I know some of you have some big hikes, big trips, big horse shows planned, right? There's a lot to be excited about and you want to be healthy for it. And then lastly, who wants this to be the last summer that you actually feel like you have to get ready for? How nice would it be to actually just roll into summer already feeling fantastic, right? Like not even a second thought. It'd be nice, right? That's what we want to set you up for. That's what we want to aim for, whether you're just starting to get into fitness or you feel like this is something that is becoming a core part of your life or you want to get back to. We want to make sure that we don't ever have to get ready again. It's just a part of you already.
Amen.
That's what we're aiming for.
So if you're saying yes to that, then you are in the right place, right?
Yes, that's what we're going to cover today.
If you're feeling that itch, if you know that it's not just about how you look, but it's also how you feel, all those different elements are arising, then you are in the right place. And this is going to be massively impactful for you as you get started in your journey. And so what we really want to teach you today is how to really prioritize fitness in this busy season of life, right? How can we maximize your progress in the next 90 days? right? How can we really maximize your progress in the next 90 days without sacrificing your business or time with your family or sanity? Because that's important as well. And the ultimate goal is not just so you lose weight, it's not just so you can feel great on the beach, although those are great benefits. What we really want is we want a sense of freedom. We want a sense of confidence. We want optimal health. We want peace of mind. And more than anything, we want this to be a 10 out of 10 summer, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than going into the summer and not feeling prepared. So this window of time gives us that wonderful opportunity where we can really dial ourselves in so we can make this the best summer yet. And more than it being the best summer yet, we want to make it stick, right? So today we're going to talk about not just how do you get dialed in, but how do you really take that beyond the summer months so it's just a normal part of life, right? If you are already ready, then you don't have to get ready, right? The easiest way to get ready is to stay ready. And that's what we really want to focus on today.
Yeah. And I know some of you guys aren't driving, but who here, is this your first introduction to the fitness project or to Brian and I? know, Maria and I have chatted, Kim and I have chatted. Okay, cool. So just to give you some context then, so Brian and I have been in your shoes. We have not been fit our whole lives, just so that we're all on the same page. We both were actually really struggled with fitness. I know Brian was more of an athlete than I was, but I had the yo-yo cycle myself, and I would always be gaining and losing the same weight. So it's not like we are fitness gurus and have always been spot on. We know what it feels like to actually have to push yourself and challenge yourself, but then find that happy balance where you can actually settle in and maintain. Right? Settle in and maintain, and then figure out what's next, because that's really where people get stuck, which we're going to talk about a lot today. But if you haven't met us yet, I'm Lindsay. This is Brian.
I'm Brian, yes.
And we're the head coaches of the Fitness Project. And at the Fitness Project, we really focus on building fit, healthy leaders. There's quite a few of you here that have worked with us in the past or are working with us now. But our goal is really, when we work with a leader, we're trying to help them implement simple strategies that make fitness doable for them, right? It makes fitness something that's exciting, that's enjoyable, that helps them process stress, and that helps them perform at work or be present with family. It's really about that integration of bringing fitness into your life versus feeling like it needs to operate in a silo. And that's really what we teach and what we do. So when we help people, again, some of you guys, of course, know this, but for those of you who haven't met us yet, we teach very ambitious, busy people how to integrate fitness into their lives so that they do create results. Of course, we want you to have a body that you feel amazing in, that you feel strong in, but we also want to make sure that what you're doing for yourself actually becomes a part of your life. It becomes a lifestyle, if you will, right? So that every habit that you have in place actually helps you be mentally, emotionally, and physically on your game. Okay, so that's what we're going to be aiming for. That's the lens we're looking through, and that's how we teach this stuff. Okay, awesome.
And again, today we're really going to lean into the teaching around how do you get ready for summer, right? How do you get ready for summer and then take that well beyond it? So our agenda today, we have 4 simple points that we're going to focus on. And again, what's great about what we teach is it's not just applicable to your body. It can be something that you apply to everything. So our encouragement is take great notes, be fully engaged, because if you can learn some of these principles, it will impact everything you do. But the first key is going to be, what is the number one thing you need in order to make a successful transformation, right? What do you actually need? Second point, or what are the 3 essential stages of progress? This is going to be really important for those of you who want to take fitness well beyond the summer. And then what's your 90-day plan look like? How do you really dial yourself in so you can be successful? And then what are the 5 painful pitfalls that we have to avoid? Now, as we get started, we do have a bonus. We want to give you a free gift just for being here. So just make sure you stay till the end, because we're going to have you something that have something for you that's going to really help you in your journey, especially for those of you who are just getting started. Now, when we talk about a successful transformation, where does it really begin? Right? Where does it really begin? In the chat box, let me know, where do you think a successful transformation begins? What is the thing you need? What do you need in order to make a successful transformation? In the chat box, what do you think some of those answers are? You need desire, motivation.
Good guesses.
Those are great answers. Those are great answers. You can send a mindset, a plan. Yes.
Okay, great.
These are all great answers, but really,
you get an A.
The first thing you need is clarity. The first thing you need is clarity. Even if you think of motivation, desire, a plan, those are all great answers, but they're useless without clarity on where you're going. And just as important as where you're going, we also need to know where you are. So the first thing we're going to reflect on is, where do you really want to be? Right? So we have some questions. We're going to give you about 60 seconds or so. That this is going to be your little time to reflect. Where do you really want to be in the next 90 days? All right. So how do you want to feel as you go into the summer? Right? Maybe that's in your body. I want to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. Maybe in your daily life, you want to have a certain peace or a certain energy or a certain way that you carry yourself. What are the activities maybe that you want to be able to do? And the second part of that, again, I'm just reading this so you can be in this full state, keep writing. But what are some of the experiences you want to have that would require you to be healthier and better shape? I had a client that I worked with years ago who she could never fit into a kayak. And she's like, I want to finally be able to kayak. And then she finally did. And it was life-changing because she's like, I'm no longer a spectator. I'm actually someone who's taking active roles in my life. So what's the experience that would have to, happen, or it's something you want to have happen rather, that would require you to be healthier and better shape? And then what are the results that would help you feel that way daily? Right. So it's like, oh, maybe I want to feel confident or I want to feel energetic. Well, I really need to be stronger. I need to lose 15 pounds, or I need to have a certain outcome in order to get there. And then last is, what is the purpose? What makes the goal meaningful, right? What's the reason why this is important to you? So these are some really important, valuable questions that we want you to reflect on as you're getting clear on what the next 90 days look like. So in the next 90 days, right, we're going to be getting to July in that time frame roughly. What does success look like? What's your target? What's important to you?
Mm-hmm. So take a second, jot down some bullet points. Feel free to put them in the chat if you so desire, or if you don't have a notebook and pen and you want to actually just write it, put it in the chat box. But just let's hear a couple of your thoughts on this. Write them down for yourself. And again, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll give you like 30 seconds. Just jot it down. Jot it down. And give us a thumbs up when you got some ideas at least down on paper. Good job. Yes, good focus. Rebecca, welcome in. We're in the middle of an exercise here. You're welcome to join us, Rebecca, whenever you're ready. But we want to see, how do you want to feel this summer? What are some of the experiences you want to have to be healthy for? What's the drive here? What makes this goal meaningful for you? This is where we begin. Now, does everybody have an idea? At least some ideas top of mind here. Things that you want. Yeah, good.
And if you want, you can screenshot this, come back to it. Again, we're just getting clear on what are some of the goals, what are some of the things you want, what are some of the experiences that would really be meaningful to you, and why do you want those? And then the second piece, we're going to take another step through this, is, where do you want to be after the summer?
Yeah, so we're already in that goal setting mindset, right? So think, what's the ultimate goal with your fitness? What do you really want? Why do you want it? Let's go beyond it. Let's imagine the holidays. Let's imagine next summer. Let's go further in our minds.
Let's imagine we're in Rome and we're taking a jog in the streets, right? What is it for you that was your ultimate goal with this? I had a client who sent me a selfie. He went and ran right through the Colosseums right around, and he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm in Rome running like this. It's like, yes, more of that, please. So what is your ultimate goal? What do you really want? And why do you want it, right? What is it that you're moving towards?
I'll take another 60 seconds or so. And again, if you want to put it in the chat, you're welcome to. There's going to be 2 more of these reflective slides. So stay in this writing zone with us. If you just arrived here, grab a notebook and pen, jump in with us. You're not behind. You're not late. You can jump right in. Thinking beyond summer, what's your ultimate goal with fitness? What do you really want? Why do you want it? Susan, welcome in. Grab a notebook and pen and get with us. Get with us here.
So who's got at least
Some ideas?
Some ideas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Good. Now you're more than welcome. Keep writing on this, keep reflecting. But if we know where we want to be, again, clarity is the key. We also need to know where we are.
Yes.
So one thing you reflect on, right? We'll give you this as just something that you can jot down, is, how are you feeling right now?
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling right now? How do your clothes fit? Or what sizes do you feel like you're at? Or where is your weight right now? How strong or energetic do you feel? What are some of the things you're currently experiencing that might be different than where you want to be? Now, what's great is it might not be that far away. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. But how are you currently feeling, right? What's your current reality? We want to know where we are because, and we'll get to this in a second, but there's a space between where we are and where we want to be. And that's what we're going to work on today, is closing that gap.
Yeah. Sometimes we get so lost in imagining where we are not yet that we actually forget to take stock of like, how am I actually doing? Especially if you went through a really either hard season of life or fantastic season of life. If you've already been making progress, you might need to just check in with yourself. But if you've been through a hard season, you might want to just face reality for a second. It's a very powerful, sobering exercise, but it'll actually help you make progress from here, which is the key.
And here's the key. It's all about telling yourself the truth, right? Don't make things worse than they are. Don't make them necessarily a facade. If something's not where you want it to be, that's okay. But we just want to tell ourselves the truth about where we are.
Awesome. All right, we got some taking stock. You guys good? Good on this one?
Fantastic.
Okay, good. Let's keep going. Let's keep rolling. So now, if we know where you are, we know where you want to be. There's always a gap, right? There's always a gap, especially if you're somebody who values growth. There's somewhere you want to be that's not where you already are. And now our job is to figure out what is in the gap, right? What are the challenges? And here it requires lots of honesty and removal of the word just. Now, if you look at this and you think about what's in the gap, a lot of people would be like, oh, it's just me. And here's why I'm saying remove the just. Oh, it's just me. It's just me, myself, and I. It's me. It's me. Okay. Well, let's pretend for a second that it wasn't you. Let's pretend that there were patterns you had or habits you had that were very sticky or hard to break. Well, then perhaps there's a little space between you and the challenge, and we can actually tackle that challenge, because we can't wave a magic wand and fix you, and you're also not broken. But we do have patterns that we can break. We can redirect, we can recreate. So ask yourself, what patterns do you tend to fall into?
Is that late night snacking? Is that boredom eating? Is it stress eating? Is it skipping workouts? Maybe there's a knowledge gap, right? I really don't understand how to eat healthy while I'm on the road. And that's more of a knowledge gap, right? Maybe you notice that, you know what? Sometimes I feel like if I can't be perfect, why try it all? It's like, oh, that's an interesting thing in between that. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's sweets, right? Maybe there's just something that you're not doing that you know you need to do, right? Maybe I'm nervous to sign up at a new gym, right? Maybe there's something there that you just like, oh, it's in between where I am and where I want to be. And if I just did that, well, then I would start making progress, right? And it's not going to necessarily be the whole way. It's going to be moving you towards that goal.
Yeah. And we're asking you all these questions, not so that you answer them. We're trying to prompt your mind to grab some ideas, maybe things you haven't thought about yet. And we're going to give you an example of this. Feel free to screenshot it or just start writing some of your ideas down.
But here's a great example, right? Let's say someone, for example, this would be one of our clients. We use this as an example. They were 200 pounds, right? And they felt low energy. Their clothes were tight. They were kind of hiding in photos. They didn't feel like they had the confidence they wanted. And they knew where they wanted to be. They wanted to be 175. They wanted to have energy. They wanted to be able to move with ease. They wanted to maybe be down 1 or 2 sizes. They wanted to have confidence. They wanted to feel like they were exercising consistently and they were strong in their body. Well, in between that was, first, they're constantly feeling stressed, right? They're stressed. And so that makes it so that, hey, when I'm stressed, I eat a certain way, or, when I'm stressed, I don't work out, or I don't sleep as well. So it makes it hard for me to have energy. The second part of that is they had some all or nothing thinking. So if they weren't perfect, well, then it wasn't worth doing anything at all. And therefore they weren't really making the progress they wanted. They didn't really have structure with workouts. So they would go to the gym and they would kind of wing it, right? And winging it is a bad strategy because it leads to a lack of progress. Mm-hmm. So this person, I didn't really have a strategy. I'd go and do cardio, do some of the machines, but I never really got momentum or where I wanted to be. They also were snacking late at night. They didn't really have any sense of accountability, and they felt overwhelmed by where to start. So these were some of the things that were in the way that we want to start to chip away at to make progress and start moving towards that goal.
Okay, so everybody have some things written down. You got some ideas of what's in the gap, at least a couple. Okay, now I have a very honest question, and I can't see all of you on camera, so I hope you'll either give me an emoji or something. Who had one of the things in their gap? The word consistency. Anybody have a little bit of consistency missing?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Sonia. Nice to see you. Yeah. So here's the thing. Yeah. A bunch of you raise your hand. You're not alone, right? Consistency being in the gap. And that's totally fair, because here's the biggest question that we're going to answer for you today. When consistency is the problem, consistency is the solution, we see the issue here, right? Like if the problem is also the solution, then there's only one way to go. It's black and white. It's either we're consistent or we're not. We're consistent or we're not. And we're just battling ourselves all day long.
And what consistency, let's say, assumes is that we already have everything we need. We just need to do it. Right. And that assumption keeps a lot of us stuck.
Yes. So stick with us if that prompts your curiosity, because if the desire is to be fit, confident, active, like that's a great desire, right? It's clear, it's intriguing, it's compelling. So what's the challenge? Why can't we be consistent? Right? What's the issue? Because a lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm inconsistent because I'm not disciplined enough. Right? Who's ever said that? I have at certain points in time. You're not disciplined enough. You need more time. Man, we just need to be less stressed. I need less on my plate. I just don't have the energy. I need more energy. And what if that wasn't the case? What if it wasn't that you were undisciplined or lazy, or like just you lose focus all the time and you're just so stressed? What if that is actually not the case? What if the actual reason that you're not consistent isn't because of time or stress or maybe lack of discipline, but it's actually due to having either the wrong mindset around the whole process or the wrong strategy? What if it was one of the two?
And the reason why it's important is because, again, it's a presupposition that you have the right strategy when you're saying, I just need to be consistent. It's like, well, if I just worked out this many days, it would be perfect. It's like, yes, but who's to say that's the right strategy? The fact that you're not consistent might be a sign that that strategy is not the right one for this season of life. Right. So it's being able to bring awareness to that, I think it really breaks it down so we can move forward.
So play with us here for a second, okay? Because it's going to be a self-diagnostic, because we can't coach every single person here, but you're going to coach yourself a little bit. So most people, might not be you, but most people have this mindset right now in April. They try on a pair of pants, or they try on a pair of shorts or a bathing suit or something, and then they hit the panic button. That's what I call it. We're like, oh my God, I must take action. Summer is coming. You kind of short circuit a little bit. You're like, I need to go. I need to go harder. I need to go fast. I need to fix this. Oh no. Everybody's hit that point before they actually start working on a goal. And that's because we need to have pain usually to motivate us to change, right? You hit the panic button at some point in time. And here's the issue with that. If you hit the panic button, you will do a couple of things that you don't realize will actually sabotage your success. Number one, you will repress external challenges. Now, maybe think back to the past, another life, where you knew you didn't really have time for something. You knew you were already tired anyway. You knew that you had a lot of responsibilities on your plate, but you were so frustrated with how you felt that you just said, screw it. I'll find a way. I'll figure it out. I'll just download that workout plan. I'll do 75 hard. I'll do something crazy. I'll just do it. And we just pretend that all the other external challenges disappear. Or what I and Brian and I see more often is that we kind of just ignore all the internal challenges that actually got us here in the first place, when we're stuck or we're off track or we're overweight or whatever. If there's no motivation, if there's a lack of desire, if there's a belief that it's going to be awful, right? Oh God, I just have a terrible relationship with food. You aren't resilient. You always fall off and give up quickly. You have that defeatist mindset. There's no accountability, right? Personal accountability, meaning if we just ignore the challenges and we say, let's just plow through, let's just get going, it's not going to last, right? That's where motivation hits and then you fall off, right? And that leads to pain. Has anybody ever experienced where you have, like, just looking back over the last like 5-10 years, maybe more, where you diet, you lose a little bit of weight and then you gain it back, and then you diet and you lose a little bit of weight and then you gain it back. But over time, that trend actually goes up. Like where it's like, oh, I'm actually 5 pounds heavier than the last time I dieted, or I'm 5 pounds. Yeah, it's awful, right? It's terrible. And your body does not like it. It's very painful. So we do not want to create this for the next 10 years, which is why we're going to talk about a better way to do it. Does this make sense? Everybody with me on this? Okay, cool. Awesome. So here's the point. A short-term mindset, i.e. that panic button, it is going to lead to short-term results, if any results. A lot of people won't even get to the point where they can get results in the first place because they're so driven by instant gratification. When you're an instant gratification person, that just means that you're telling me I give up often. Well, let's change that, right? Because it's not getting us anywhere. So that's the point. Now, how do you change it? This is the first key. We're going to build into this way more as we go. But if your mindset has gotten you in trouble in the past because you're trying to get this quote done as fast as possible, lose 30 pounds as quickly as possible, that is going to keep you stuck in that loop. But the shift is, if you're going back to that vision of what we wrote earlier, of what do you want, why you want it, you want to think, okay, well, I'm doing this because I'm working on my fitness, because I want to get strong, because I want to have a great physique, because, and that just reminds you that this is a meaningful venture, if you will. It's a meaningful journey. It's not just get it done as fast as possible because I hate where I am. Just remember you're doing this because you want to be better. So does that make sense? Everybody with us? Okay, just little shift makes a big difference because that creates everything you do after.
So again, this is the clarity that we need in order to actually take action consistently, right? We need to be clear on what we want, why we want it. We have to be clear on where we are, and then see that there's some challenges in the way. And oftentimes the challenge is more internal than it is external, right? It's the way that we think that keeps us stuck. And if we can shift that, well, then it's a lot easier to move through these next stages. So we talked about the stages of progress earlier, and that's what we really want to focus on as you're going into summer. Now, it's great. We have some clients here. So my hope is that you're already in phase one, maybe towards phase two. But if you're new here, what's great is you want to see this as the building of something that's even better for yourself in the long run and short run. So the first phase of all progress is a dial in phase. So this is where we have to ramp ourselves up. Now, what's great is you can, regardless of what your current status is with your fitness, you can dial yourself in for the next 60 to 90 days and feel fantastic in the summer. In fact, all of us can do that. Now, dialing in is going to look a little different, subjective to where you are and what you want, right? And the most important thing is that where you are is where you build from. One of the things that we do at the Fitness Project is we leverage what we call habit ramping. Habit ramping is the process in which you take someone, you say, okay, this is where you are, this is where you want to be. Instead of us just jumping to the perfect strategy that you know you can't do, let's ramp you up to the point where you can be consistent, you start to get momentum. But right now is a really great opportunity for all of us because we do have 60 to 90 days before the summer comes. So if you're someone who wants to be able to run on the beach, let's start doing some runs. If you're someone who wants to feel fantastic on the beach, whether it's in a bikini or in your shorts or whatever is there for you, it's like, hey, let's start pushing for maybe that weight loss goal, or let's have the actual bikini or pair of shorts in the front of our mind or in our living room, right? It sounds weird in the living room, but trust me, it works. If you put it somewhere where you know that it's going to focus you every day, you're going to start to see it. Hey, I'm working towards something. So you have this really great opportunity to dial yourself in. But what's great is we want to do something different in phase two. And this is where most people end up actually falling off track because they'll dial themselves in or they'll go way too far and then they'll end up crashing or they feel like it's not making progress, so they'll fall off track. And what we need to do is we need to have a maintenance phase. That maintenance phase is going into the summer and really being consistent. And what does the consistency look like? Well, first, keep movement. One of the things I tell all of our clients is during your busiest seasons where things are changing with your nutrition, during the summer or during the holidays, the most important thing is you keep moving. Because if you keep moving, well, first off, you're going to burn calories and your metabolism stays consistent and yada, yada, yada. The more important, you stay healthy, right? And then when the nutrition goes back to normal, well, hey, it's really easy to fall back on track. So stay in the maintenance phase for your movement, keep working out, and then practice mindful eating. This really means that when you're going to the barbecue, practice a sense of mindful eating about what you're eating and have a plan beforehand. But it's not going to be perfect. So it's probably going to be more of that 80% healthy, 20% ice cream, right? Whatever it is for you, it's being in that maintenance phase. So when you get done the summer, you can, well, this is actually a quote that I wanted to actually have you kind of trigger some more thoughts on. One thing you can think of in that maintenance phase is what would summer look like if I was a fit, healthy, or active person? So if you're someone who's never really maintained health, ask yourself, hey, what would it look like to be healthy during the summer? What would it look like to be an active person during the summer?
Mhm.
If I was fit, if I was active, would I go hiking more? Would I not eat all of the potato chips at the barbecue because I really don't like them that much? I just eat them because they're there.
Would I drink less at parties or barbecues, right?
Yeah.
Would I do things a little differently if I was fit and healthy?
So a simple little question to kind of trigger that on, really easy to maintain when it's just your standard. And then the last thing, the third stage is once we get past the summer, that's when we get to level up, right? Now, some of you might find that, hey, I really want to level up during the summer. That's fantastic. Keep pushing yourself. But what we know is there's usually this phase where we're dialed in, we kind of maintain for a month or two, and then we can really ramp up again because we have more time. We're not traveling as much. There's not as many hot dogs or cheeseburgers around, whatever it is for you, right? So we can have that next stage. We're really pushing. But because we've already been consistent throughout the summer, it's easy. Here's a really great example of what this looks like, right? So it's understanding that this is a little bit different than what most people do. What most people do is they just try to crash. They say, hey, I'm going to get as fit as I can in the shortest time possible and hope that it works, right? And they usually crash diet for a month. They can't maintain it. And then they say, screw it. I guess I just have to tolerate less than I want. And that's different than what we're going to suggest. Played out in real time, I'm going to show you one of our clients, right? One of our clients, Matt, who's lost 90 pounds now. When he first started, he was totally burnt out, totally out of shape, and he is really struggling to establish any kind of consistency with his training and nutrition. And what we did is we started with a little bit of a dial-up phase or dial-in phase. At first, his first season, he was really able to push and be consistent. And then from there, we had this season literally around summer, right around June, where we maintained until about the fall. And then we really leveled up and pushed again. So again, if you start to see those seasons, it makes it easier for you to be ahead, and anticipation makes it easier for you to take action.
Yeah. And just to give you one more, again, we're just challenging you to think a little bit higher level, a little broader, zoomed out a little bit more, not so intense in the short-term season. Delana was one, some of you have heard her story, but she's one who she had just come off of like a 6-week challenge where she lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks. That's insane, by the way, extremely fast, very difficult to maintain. And she gained 30 in the subsequent 30 days. Also crazy amount of weight gain in a short period of time. And that was because she was only looking at the dial-in phase. It was like there was nothing else but the dial-in phase. And that's where people get so trapped in that yo-yo cycle. So this is the example of her journey, which shows these 3 phases perfectly. Dialed in, dialed in, dialed in, weights going down, 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 down. Summer, we maintain. Okay, post-summer, let's level up, weight goes down, 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 down again. So that's how you want to see this. Whatever season you're in of fitness, whether you've been working with us for a year or you just met us today and you want to get started, you want to see it as you're going to have a dial-up phase. You're going to maintain for a little bit once your body loses some weight or shifts in body composition. And then you got to level up. You got to ask, what's the next goal? Where are we going from here? And if you keep repeating this pattern over and over, you're going to be extremely healthy for the rest of your life. It's not going to be just a phase, as our parents would say. It's actually going to be a part of who you are.
Is this making sense? Is this
okay?
So here's what's great. This is one thing I want to give you all too. Your dial-in phase can be longer than 90 days. So if you're someone who's like, I really just want to crush it this summer, Lindsay and I are going to empower you, right? We're going to empower you to say, hey, do that, feel great, but know that it's more applicable for a lot of people to say, hey, for the first 90 days, I'm going to really focus on getting momentum, accelerating my progress, and then be okay with some maintenance as things change. And I have to learn how to do this through the summer.
Okay. Another question for you. Are you ready to get wildly tactical? Would you like to hear very specific feedback that is tactical? You can physically go do it today.
Strategy.
Yes. Great. Because we talked a lot of mindset. And if you can't tell, fitness is like 80% mindset, right? Like once you have the strategy, it's great. But if you don't have the mindset to implement it, it's not going to work. Doesn't matter, right? It's just water under the bridge. So we are going to talk for the next 10 minutes about dialing in. Okay. Dialing in, getting your focus on point. There's a few things you need to know in order to dial in, because I know some of you guys have told me you've experienced this, but when you try to figure out how to get in shape, it's one thing to get yourself hyped up where you're like, okay, it's time. But then when you actually start to think, okay, now what do I do? I think Kim and I had a conversation about this, but what do I actually have to do? Okay, well, how do I structure the workouts? Oh, should I do more weight, less weight? Should I add this type of food? It just starts to get very mathematical and confusing very fast. So we want to simplify it for you. Okay, so we're going to talk about your 90-day dialed in blueprint, as we call it, to get fit for summer. What does this actually look like? What do you need to focus on? Okay. Number one, what is the optimal way to train? We're going to start high level. And we're going to get specific. Optimal way to train, to cut through the noise. Do I do cardio? Should I do more of this, more of that? This is how it should stack. You should have daily movement. That is a healthy behavior, at least 5,000 steps a day, which if you are somebody who's very active, you probably do more than that. But for most Americans, we are walking about 500 to 2,000 steps a day. That's crazy. I mean, even myself included, if I don't, am I intentional, I walk not very much. So 5,000 steps a day is a really great minimum. Doesn't need to be 10. Second, you got to train for strength and function, which we're going to talk more about in a second, but it's 3 to 4 times a week. Doesn't have to be every day. It's not 7 days a week. It's not even 5 days a week. Train for strength and function, and be, lastly, very effective. Be efficient. If you are a busy professional, if you're a business owner, if you got a lot on your plate, you do not have time to go to the gym for 90 minutes. Maybe you could, but is it going to really realistically work and become a normal part of life? Probably not. Unless you choose to become a bodybuilder, in which case all the power to you. But that's what we want to do for training. Okay. And now specifically, how does this look? This is how we do it at the Fitness Project.
Yeah. So you can think of the base of every successful training plan should be strength. Strength is the elixir. It is the key to longevity, regardless of who you are. We need to get stronger. Now, we should be doing functional movements, right? Like squats, some kind of hinge, some kind of row, some kind of press, things that are functional for our body. But we want to do it in a way that brings in progressive overload, which is progressively getting stronger over time, right? Increasing weights or reps or sets or time under tension, allowing our body to get stronger and stronger through each movement. The second piece is functionality. So most people actually skip this, and that's why they consistently get hurt. They'll go to the gym and say, I'm going to lift weights or I'm going to go and run, but they never do mobility. They never open up their body. They never prime their body for what they're about to do. And so over time, they lose flexibility. Their body doesn't move the right way. And that's where a lot of fatigue or injury comes in. So one of the things that we do for all of our clients is we always schedule mobility either daily as like a stretching routine, right? To have that keystone habit, or even in the front of your workout, right? 3 to 5 minutes, something that's going to allow your body to be more functional so that you can stay consistent and be injury and pain free. Mm-hmm. And then the last is movement, right? On those days that you're not training, go for a walk, do some cardio, do some yoga, do some stretching. Even us on our rest days, they're still active rest days because it's a part of being a human. It's not normal to sit at a desk for 20 hours, right? Or 16 for that matter, right? So even on the days when we're not working out, getting movement, getting some stretching, doing something that allows us to have that optimal relationship with our body and health. That's the key.
Yep. So pulling all those pieces together, 3 to 4 times a week, you should be hyper focused on your workouts. 3 to 4 times a week, 30 to 40 minutes. That means you make the most of that workout. It's not a passive activity where you go through the motions and you do the same weights you did for the last 6 months. You're not going to see any progress, right? And that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they just do the same things all the time and they never actually challenge their body, so they don't change. And then they throw the gym away because they think it's it's not working anyway. It's because we're not doing it effectively. We don't know maybe what we are supposed to be doing, which is this. So that is the training. Okay. If you want to dial it in, that's what you want to be doing. Now, when it comes to food, right? How do you need to eat? Because you can train all day long and look the exact same, or just look a little fluffier because you're putting on some muscle, right? If we are eating optimally, then we're actually going to lean down, or we're going to have the look we want, or we're going to feel more dialed in. So the optimal way to eat, again, starting high level and then getting specific. First, it should be personalized. You can only stay general for so long and make progress. Personalized just means your nutrition needs to be tailored to your body, right? Your body, your age, your goals, your lifestyle. It should really be around you. It should also be flexible. At least us, Brian and I, and us at the Fitness Project, we do not believe in restriction. We do not believe there's any good or bad foods. And we live that way and we are in good shape. So we walk the walk, we talk the talk, but it should be flexible. It should give you the freedom to go out to eat, to live life, to drink some wine if you want, to eat chocolate. Like, you should be able to have whatever you want, but be able to be flexible and still healthy. Healthy is the next one, right? It's not about having processed foods and only making sure that you hit your macros like a bodybuilder again. But we want to be healthy. We want to eat whole foods that actually make us feel our best, that keep us satisfied and energized. And then your nutrition should, if you are in this room, then you are busy and you have a lot on your plate. So your nutrition should be simple. It shouldn't be hyper tedious and something that's just a terribly painful, annoying experience. It should be easy, right? It should be simple. Less complex, the better. Complexity kills progress. Now, how does this actually look? Well,
there's two parts, because there's the science and then there's the art. The science is the specifics around your body, right? And we'll talk about that in a moment. But the art is how you implement it, how you find your way to do it. And so when we talk about science, again, Lindsay talked about this, is about your goals, your body, right? Based off of your goal, how much do you have to eat to reach your goal? If you have a weight loss goal, you have to eat at a calorie deficit. If you have a maintenance goal and you maybe want to put on some muscle, well, then maybe you have to eat at maintenance or calorie surplus, but you have to change your macros. Again, your goal should be to dial yourself in so you can hit your goal, but do it in a way that allows you to maintain it. And so when we talk about the science, everyone has a BMR. So a lot of people don't understand that we all have a certain amount of calories that we need in order to function. That's called your basal metabolic rate. And so I think if you were to lay in bed all day long, your body still needs to process things. It still needs to pump blood. It still is breathing. It still has to build muscle or repair tissue. So you need a certain amount of calories to just maintain yourself, which is why if you've ever been sick and you didn't eat, you lost weight, right? It's because your body still needed nourishment and it took from what was stored. And so we all have to eat a certain amount of calories. And then when we talk about weight loss, the goal is to eat slightly below what we would need to maintain our weight. And so for a quick example of BMR, if you were, let's say, a female who's 42, 5'4", 200 pounds, your BMR would be close to 1,500 calories. Now, if you were exercising on top of that, well, then, hey, you'd probably be able to just eat 1,500 to 1,600 calories and lose weight, right? If you were a man, men tend to have more bone density, muscle, so they have a little bit of a higher BMR, and they're typically taller. So they would have a higher BMR on that. So again, it's just understanding some of the science behind it. Don't get bogged down by it. It's just understanding you need a certain amount of calories. You want to tailor it down. And then the art is going to be, how do you do that for your lifestyle? If you're someone like Kay, who flies, who's traveling, it's going to look a little different than someone who might work from home all the time, right? So what we want to know is the art of nutrition is understanding your habits, what's important for you with food. I have one client, he's Italian. And I don't know if you've ever been around a group of Italians, but they like certain kinds of food sometimes, right? So he's like, oh my God, like when we have our Sunday brunch, incredible. I'm like, okay, let's figure out how much of this you actually care about eating and what's going to actually be applicable to your goals. So that's the art, right? It's different for everyone. And so it's being able to figure that out on your own and also with the people who can guide you. And that's why what we do with the Fitness Project is we break nutrition down to 4 different phases. This is through our flexible nutrition method. The first is you always have to have a healthy relationship with food.
If you do not, you will not sustain any progress you make.
Yes. So if you do not have a healthy relationship with food, there's no amount of dieting that will work to keep you at your goal, because you'll always be going up and down, because food is used to cope with emotions and stress and anxiety and overwhelm and joy. So we have to be able to understand, we have to build a healthy relationship with food for anything to work. And then once we have that, we can really focus on weight loss and recomping our body, which is, hey, I'm going to take my calories down a little bit, right? That's where we really focus on the calories that are coming in. Then we see performance, right? If you're someone who wants to build muscle and lean down at the same time, you're going to increase your protein. You're going to increase your healthy carbohydrates. You're going to fuel before your workouts a little bit different than someone who is just on a general weight loss journey. And then the ultimate goal for all of us is that we get to phase 4, which is longevity, where we're able to focus on eating healthy for life. We're able to really prioritize the right nutrition for us. and we're doing it in a way that allows us to stay healthy beyond just our weight loss goals, but stay with it consistently for a long time.
Real quick, put in the chat box. I'm curious what phase you feel like you're in.
And at times you can be in multiple phases, right? Like you can say, I have a healthy relationship with food and I'm focused on weight loss, or I'm focused on weight loss and I'm building a healthy relationship with food. Sometimes it might be opposite. But where are you in the phases?
Yeah, I'm curious. Phase one. Phase one. Awesome.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
There's no, they all go together. You got to go through one to get to the other.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought Sharon would be in performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody's going to be in a different phase. And again,
2 or 3. That's awesome.
You might end up seeing that you're kind of in a few of them.
And here's what's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes even people like Lindsay and I, we tap into phase 1, right? It's like, oh, I definitely didn't need to eat that much, right? There's these things that happen. So again, you can always tap into a little bit of each one. It's just being able to be aware of what you need in this moment.
With us? Still with us? Makes sense. Okay, cool. Sweet. Now, lastly, when it comes to really getting dialed in, you need to have results-driven accountability. Now, this can look a lot of different ways, but the big thing is you need to meet yourself where you're at, for one. If you aren't setting realistic expectations for yourself, it's going to be really hard to actually follow through, i.e. there won't be accountability there. You won't follow through on the promises you make to yourself because you're just not meeting yourself where you are with the time you have, where your body's at, right? What you need. But you should also be tracking and measuring your success. There should be multiple ways. If you want something to improve, then the first step is measure it more, right? The first step is to measure it more. So if you want to improve your body composition, then you should probably take progress photos. If you want to improve your weight, you should weigh yourself. If you want to improve your running time, you should track your runs, right? We want to actually have some data. Otherwise, there's nothing to hold yourself accountable for, right?
And real accountability also challenges you to grow, right? Sometimes you'll get passive accountability, which is, well, why didn't you do your workout? Okay, well, let's try again tomorrow. That is not accountability, because real accountability is about you saying you want this. So how can we help you get it? Right? It's not judgment. It's very different. It's not a drill sergeant, but real accountability is about helping you get to your goal so that this is something that you don't have to think about anymore. It's just a part of who you are.
Yeah. And then the real results-driven accountability is going to provide you some sense of guidance, right? Encouragement, stability. This is why we usually don't suggest, we'll never suggest that your main accountability partner be your spouse or potentially your best friend, because they're going to go through their own highs and lows. Their main job is not to coach you. Their main job is not to provide you that consistency in your fitness specifically, right? They have their own stability they need to give you, but you need somebody who's actually going to be that steady force of guidance, encouragement, stability when you're going through highs and lows in your journey.
Yes. Accountability should come from people who already have the results that you want or have created the results you want with others.
Yep. And if you already have a coach or you're working with us, guys, this is also a good checklist to say, hey, I think I need a little more of that. I need to give myself a little bit more of that, right? So if you're already a client, take note on that. But that said, this is a really great example just to give you a little spark of inspiration of what this could actually look like for you. So this is Kylie. If some of you might have met Kylie, but when she was first getting started, she did not know where to start. She had no idea. She felt super stressed out. She felt low. She felt very alone on her journey. Work kind of was her whole life. And we've probably all been there at some points in time, but she had also had multiple knee surgeries before 40 years old and just felt like she'd never get strong. So she was just kind of like, okay, I guess I hope this will go somewhere. In 4 months, she did some great work. She dialed it in. She lost like 15, 20 pounds. She started working out. Her knees got stronger. She felt better. But the beauty, and this is really the whole point of today, is this is her now. Like, this is the beyond summer. Like, she is insanely fit. She's super strong. She's running half marathons. Like, if you really see this, not just as like, hey, 3 months, let's just go hard. Let's go balls to the wall. Let's go as intense as we can. If you really stretch out your horizon and you say, I'm going to work hard for 90 days, but I'm going to see this as something that is going to be a part of who I am, you will get incredible results, especially if you keep learning, you keep growing, you keep advancing. And she's a really good example of that, who's gone. This is, I think, 3 years later. So it's maintained for a very long time and only gotten better, which is amazing. So we'll give Kylie praise from afar.
Her flowers, as they say.
Yes. All right, last piece.
So if you have a plan, if you understand what you need to do, what could screw this all up, right? What could screw this all up? What would make this a mess?
Important. So enter in 5 painfully common reasons that one can have clarity, motivation, and a plan, yet still never realize their goals. We need to know this so we can avoid it. First, you can very easily lose focus on what matters most. There's a very strong common saying in business that says, in business, if you try to speak to everyone, common marketing principle, then you will speak to no one. In fitness, that looks like if you're trying to do everything, you will do nothing. Okay, so you got to know what to prioritize. You got to know what to manage. Second, falling into the trap of instant gratification. Please write down whichever one resonates most with you so you can keep it present and top of mind. Instant gratification is a trap. If you identify as somebody who loves instant gratification, you are basically telling me that you are in a mouse trap and you are going to stay there because instant gratification tells you that long-term progress is not possible and doesn't matter. Therefore, we just stay stuck in a trap of I'm not moving fast enough. Therefore, we fall off. If Debbie had given up, this who this is on the screen, she didn't lose weight for the first month. Some of you have met Debbie. She didn't lose weight for 4 weeks. And if she had given up right there, she would have missed out on 35 pounds of weight loss in 6 months and totally feeling the best she's ever felt in her life after having multiple surgeries. So you've got to get out of that trap. Next, applying a stagnant strategy to a dynamic life. If you ever downloaded a workout program and done 2 days and then disappeared, it's because you have tried to apply a stagnant strategy to your very dynamic life.
Things should always be changing, right? Because you're always changing. Things always come up. So we need to have the flexibility. We need to know how to optimize to get results. We have to have flexibility to make sure it sticks.
And getting bored is normal. Got to mix it up sometimes. Fourth, if you're just using hope as a strategy, it is not a good strategy. We do need to have hope to move forward in the first place. But if your only strategy is let's just cross our fingers and hope that this time, if I do all the things I did last time that got me here where I'm stuck, let's just hope I don't get stuck again. It's like, no. If you're repeating the things from the past, hoping for new results, that's the definition of insanity, right? So you don't want to just use hope as a strategy. Amy's a great example of that. And I won't labor on her story too long, but she was about a couple months in and was like, I don't think this is working for me, guys. She was a client of ours. And we said, well, tell us more. And she's like, well, I'm doing the things, but I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. So we were like, all right, well, let's dial that strategy in. Let's shift what we're doing in the gym. And boom, like she got insane results, as you can see. But it was just a tiny couple tweaks. Like if she had kept crossing her fingers saying, I hope sometime this changes, we wouldn't have even known to change the strategy. But when she spoke up and she said, hey, this isn't working, we changed it and she did great. So it's really about knowing where you're going. And the last piece.
Yes, the last piece is you have to own it, right? If you do not own your outcome, you will not achieve it, right? And the problem is that we let other people own it for us. We feel like we have to put ourselves in a box that they're comfortable with, which keeps us from actually moving towards our target. So you have to know what you're focused on. You have to be mindful of where you're going, but you really have to take ownership of this. It doesn't mean you have to obsess about it. It doesn't have to consume your life, but you have to own your outcome, right? Which means you might have to tell some people, right? It's really great when we start to bring other people into this space and we allow them to see, hey, we're owning this. We're really committed to making a change. So if that's the things that we have to avoid of, right? The 5 things that might cause this to be a mess. The opposite of that is what we do to ensure success. So do less, but do it well. Right? Do less, but do it well. Once you have mastered it, then you can move on to the next step. Second is continue to revisit your vision, right? Stay locked in on what you want. That's why we start a lot of our team calls with what is your goal? What's your ultimate goal? Why do you want this? Because we want to always be revisiting that outcome, because it helps us show up. We want to iterate, right? By tracking and measuring. Right? If you want to see the scale go down, make sure you're tracking and measuring the scale. Make sure you're tracking and measuring what you're putting in your body. See it as data versus a judgment. Very, very important. Seek wise counsel, right? Instead of just using a hope strategy, get support from people who know the way, on the path, and can guide you through that. And then last, own it. Invest in yourself. invest in the process, invest your time, invest your energy, invest your resources, take it seriously, because if it's worth it for you, you'll never regret that investment.
And if you're showing up at 5 p.m. on a Thursday night to learn about it, it's probably worth it for you. You're already investing, so keep going that way and you will get to where you want to be, especially if you keep learning. So we're going to tie this down here and keep us on track. So in summary, this is what we just covered. We went all over the place. Left side, progress begins with clarity. Clarity gives you focus. Focus gives you progress. Progress gives you motivation. If you're lacking motivation, go all the way back to clarity and you're going to find your way. Second, there's 3 stages of progress. We got to dial it in. At some point in time, you got to dial it in. You got to get focused. And then there's a maintenance phase where you can balance it out a little bit. You don't need to go all in all the time. And then after you maintain for a little bit and you're comfy, then we got to go expand again. We got to keep learning. We got to keep growing. We got to keep making progress. This fitness is there is no maintenance phase that lasts forever. You got to keep growing. 90-day blueprint, 3 things to focus on: optimal training, flexible nutrition, have some healthy doses of accountability in there. That's not just you, yourself, and you. And then you have those 5 ways to ensure your success. As Brian said, do less, but do it well, right? Make sure that all those key elements are there.
So these are the keys for you not only getting fit in summer, but also getting fit beyond summer. These are the things that we want to lean on as we're entering this season. But what's great is we also know that there's some things we're moving away from. So just quick, can everyone see how kind of that old mindset of quick fixes or just downloading a plan or doing crash diets has always led us off track when it comes to the summer? Does anyone kind of see that now, that it's about having a more holistic view of what health looks like, having a clear vision of what we're doing for our body? Fantastic. Fantastic. And then also, can we see now that the secret to getting fit for summer is actually shooting beyond it? That if we have a vision that goes well beyond just the next 3 months or 2 months, that it's going to pull us with the right behavior. So we're not worrying about, oh my gosh, do I crash diet in 2 weeks or 2 months? It's actually going to allow us to follow through. Can you start to see how kind of that long-term vision is more useful?
Run through the finish line.
Can I get some head nod, or is it no, or is it just total crap? Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Now, most important temp check. If you know what to focus on, if you have some sense of guidance or direction that keeps you focused and you are willing to grow, can we agree that you are not just going to get fit? You can have faith that you're actually going to become a fit, healthy version of yourself. Yes, if you just keep your focus, if you keep your mind on what you want, if you keep growing. Yes, 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 yes. You can all do that. Everyone can do that.
Yes.
So here's what's great. I know that a lot of you are already here and your answer is yes. How many of you actually came to this call because you actually want this to be the last time that you have to get in shape? You'd like to just be in shape. Yes, absolutely. Good. And you don't want to have to be restrictive. You don't want fitness to be your whole life. You're not trying to become a fitness influencer, but you want to be healthy, right? You want it to just be normal, easy, just a part of what you do. That's really, really what we're aiming for. That's what we want. Okay, so we have some great news. That is you, and you are here. You do not already work with us. We have fabulous news.
Yes, we right now have a really great opportunity for those of you who want to get dialed in for summer, who want to make this a permanent part of your life, and you want to get the coaching to not just get the results you desire, but build the life you deserve. So what we are offering right now is we have space for 15 clients on our team heading into summer to prep yourself, to make sure you're dialed in and really take those results beyond the summer months. And so again, this process is about you getting something tailored to you that is going to help you build fitness as a core part of your life so you can be more, do more, and achieve more. And yes, you can go and do everything that we talked about on your own, but the speed and the precision that we'll be able to do as a team is really what I think we want to see is like, hey, if we can have this dialed in with you and be in your corner, it's not just about the weight, it's going to be the transformation that allows you to excel in everything else that you do. And so the bonus gift, right? We talked about the gift. We talked about something that's here for you. If you're someone who's new, right, just by attending today, we want to give you a complimentary strategy session. So all you have to do in order to get this, again, is just really show up and say, hey, I want to make progress. This is the thing I focused on, the goal. This is where I'm at. what do I have to do to get from spaces in between those goals, right? What do I have to do to get to where I want to be? And that's one of the things that we'll focus on as a team, and we'll really be able to design with you.
So what we're going to do is, and clients, you're welcome to do this with us, but you already got this, just so you know. But if you have never worked with us before, we're actually going to build you your personalized blueprint. So we talked about your blueprint. We got as specific as we possibly can without knowing you, right? But if you actually want this personalized to you and you want your own blueprint, we're going to build that with you. And that's what that strategy session is for. So all you have to do for this, it's a gift for you because you just made that time for yourself, and we don't want you to feel overwhelmed. We want you to feel empowered and excited and clear. Is you just text the word blueprint with your name. So we actually know who you are. Text the word blueprint to the number on the screen, and that's going to get you your free strategy session. So we'll give you a little bit of homework for this. It's not going to be just like hope and pray that Lindsay and Brian know the answers. We'll give you some homework, you'll work on it, and then we'll actually build out that blueprint with you. Now, here's what's great. If you decide that you don't want to work with us and you want to just take that blueprint and go for it, then do it. All the more power to you. But if you feel like you actually want to pull some help in, you want to pull a coach in, we're here for you. We want to help you. We want to see you succeed. And it's going to be a 30-minute call. And basically everybody here who's a client has been through this, but we'll work through what's the biggest roadblock. What are those little habits that are in place that you really don't realize are actually sabotaging your success or stealing your energy? And we're going to actually have that crafted game plan of how do we dial this in? How do you get to your goal without actually adding more to your plate or feeling like this is a chore? So that we're going to walk through all that in 30 minutes. I know it sounds like a lot, but we get it done. So all you have to do is text blueprint with your name to 603-573-5392, and we'll schedule that session for you. So that's pretty much it. And it's funny, Sharon and Kay are here, but their examples go for miles. But yeah, so we would love to help. We would love to help. And we're here for you. If you feel like you need some personalized game plan, you need to feel in control, you want to feel like you can take your results to the next level. That's a big one, right? You might be making progress right now, but how much better could it be if it was just that little bit more dialed in? Right. So that's what we want to give you just for being here. If you're an attendee of the masterclass, if you signed up, we want to make sure you have that next step and you have clarity on what's to come. Okay. So we'll leave this up, but we'd love to hear, not related to the strategy session.
Yeah.
What your questions are.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions as we went through this? Was there any questions that came up through the process, or any questions right now, even about your own journey?
Yeah, anything specific that you actually want feedback on. Like, hey, I'm already trying this, but I feel like this isn't working because, what do you guys think? We're here for questions. We're happy to answer. And if you would like to share anything, then we're here.
And if not, that's completely okay.
If not, we'd like to hear your takeaway in the chat.
Yeah. So if there's no questions, if you don't have any questions right now, if you do, just raise your hand and we can pop over to you. But if not, what's your big takeaway from this? What was useful? What was helpful? What'd you gain?
Yeah, put it in the chat box, because what we like to do every team call we have is what anchors what you've learned is actually writing down, what did I just take from that? You just listen to a conversation for an hour. I'll be damned if you didn't take something away, right? We want to learn something if we're going to spend an hour. So what did you learn? What was your golden nugget? Let's put it in the chat box and let's hear it. Let's hear what you personally took from this before we let you go. You're very, very welcome, Sonia. I'm so glad. Yes, long-term planning. Good. More inspired, more motivated. Good. Yeah. So what'd you take from it? And once you drop your takeaway, you're more than welcome to head out for the evening. We kept you a couple minutes. I hope it was helpful. You are going to get the recording for this, by the way. Once it's done and edited, you'll have it in your inbox. You're very welcome. Once you drop your takeaway, you're free to go. But great work today. Thank you for being attentive.
To create a strategic plan.
Excellent.
Yes. Need more mobility. Yes. Good reminder on a strategic planning. Yes.
Excellent. Yes. Once you have the strategy and you're clear and you're focused, then we can really produce some great results.
Kay, your question, what I would give you feedback on is it's all subjective based off of, Kimberly, you have a question I'll give to you in a second. But Kay asked a question in the chat box. I would say it's all subjective based off of how intense your day has gone, right? Like if you're really feeling like, oh my gosh, a 10 out of 10 pain, well then maybe rest or stretching. But I think it's all based off of finding the next best route. And sometimes that is sleep or stretching or just doing less. So I think that the alternative is what would be unhealthy for me right now. right? And it's this would be
Mhm.
unhealthy. Well, the best thing you can do usually is nothing, right? Like if you don't go to the unhealthy behavior, that's progress in many different cases. So that's what I would say. It's subjective, but the best thing you can do is not make things worse.
Mhm. Great
Kimberly,
question.
did you have a question? Kimberly? No, thought you raised your hand, so it's okay if you didn't.
Yeah, she's trying to. Oh,
Not
okay.
me.
Cool.
Okay. Then maybe it's different, Kimberly. Well, thank you all for being here. Go out, have a great evening. And yes, if you're interested in the coaching session, text Lindsay and I. We'll make sure you're set up from there.
Yeah. But have a great night. Otherwise, thanks for joining us. We'll see you on a masterclass soon.
Cheers.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.